Damn it did it again. This is not Wild World of Wrestling. This is WrestleZone Unfiltered. Damn it, this is Thursday night. I don't know what I keep doing there. Connor, is that me or you? You got to let me know. I know you're watching.
No. That's totally. I hit the wrong button. That's on me.
Okay, we'll blame on you this week. Paul, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm sore. The workouts are, you got to push them each time, and they get worse. And I'm sore. I don't like rowing machines, but
no pain, no gain, right?
Exactly right. So how are you feeling this week?
Mentality of thinking. I think Danny's coming on with us later. We got a little bit to discuss. I mean, we got all kinds of. They crammed all kinds of shit this weekend, man. Dynamite last night, Collision tonight, SmackDown tomorrow. Then we got Saturday night's main event on Saturday. Then you got Battleground Tampa and Double or Nothing on Sunday night. So, and I have no idea what I'm going to watch and what I'm not. I'll tell you.
Yeah, that was my.
Go over them all, but.
It was just in my head. This is a weekend where you have to selectively watch. You have to pick and choose your battles.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. It's like, John Cena versus, R-Truth. Now, if it was John Cena versus Ron the Truth Killings from the TNA days, it might interest me a little bit. But I like Ron Killings. I do. But, they God bless him. He's making a fortune, being the comedy act they turned him into. And I ain't mad at him for it. But, his suntan Superman stuff in TNA was great.
But that was 20 years ago, to be fair to him.
Oh, yeah. But, you got him and Cena going to that Saturday night, but, God only knows what they're going to do with that.
Is that the match that everyone wants to watch? I know that's definitely a match some people want to watch, but
I can't see it going real long. I mean, but, I haven't even looked at all the cards or everything yet. In my opinion, the best match of the weekend will be Paige versus Ospreay. I still don't know where they're going with that, to be quite honest with you. When they first did the Owen Hart tournament brackets, I really thought that it was going to come down to Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher 3 because, Fletcher won the first one, then Ospreay won. I really thought they were going to do Fletcher Ospreay 3. And then, and they had the perfect way to do it without making Paige look bad. I mean, they had, during the Paige Fletcher match, they had all those people running down and coming out and, Don Callis and everybody getting involved. But then Paige won. I'm like, okay, so where are we going with this? That's my only question with that. I thought Ospreay was going to win from the get-go to put the title on him at Double or Nothing. I really had him, I thought he did the right thing when he laid down for Swerve real quick to get his name out of the title picture and let Swerve have his title run. But, like I said, it's just a crammed, full, packed weekend. Danny, how you doing, honey?
I'm good. Oh my God, when you're so excited for a weekend, and I'm going home to Chicago tomorrow. I'm running out the door for my office for a client meeting. Forgot the client's address because I didn't know where I was going, and the client wasn't there.
That's always fun.
Oh God, so I'm just like.
So sweet home Chicago, huh?
Yep.
How long a drive is that for you?
About 3 hours.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad at all.
Yeah, when we first moved to Richmond, my dad was still playing in that house band in Martinsville. We did that shit every weekend for over 3 years, which got really cumbersome back then, coming home every weekend. But God, what I wouldn't give to go back and do it all over again.
And I'm going to again, living where I live in rural Wisconsin, I have to go to Chicago to eat. So first stop is going to be Maggiano's for all my Chicago listeners. Yes, we all love Maggiano's. Next stop is going to be the Cheesecake Factory, and I'm not paying for either one of them.
There you go. Have you located Wardlow yet? We hadn't heard much about him.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't either. I've looked. I also looked into that event series that AEW is having in Chicago in July, and it looks like it's a smaller venue compared to the Wintrust. So that might be kind of saying something. And apparently, it only seats like 5,000.
If I get a little bit of time, whatever the hell that might be, just for you, I'm going to go on Canva. And I'm going to make the old milk carton, and I'm going to stick his picture on the side of it with the "Have you seen me?" just for you. And we'll tweet it at him, see what happens.
Yeah, so other than that, I mean, I've got no idea. I'm wondering, though, When is Trick getting called up? Because that Trick concert had me in stitches on Tuesday. And again, we got done with Raw. We got halfway through NXT and we're halfway through Dynamite. So again, working this job, I get home later. I can kind of go whenever I want, but it's really affecting my viewership during the week.
Yeah, well, we were talking about that just a second ago, right before you came on, is how packed this week is. You had Raw, then last night Dynamite, tonight Collision, tomorrow
Uh-huh.
SmackDown, Saturday night's main event, Saturday night, then you got Double or Nothing and Battleground Tampa on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then Raw again on Monday. So
Uh-huh.
it's a packed full weekend. I'll tell you like what you came in on the ass end of there was I was saying I don't know where they're going with it, but I do think that Paige Osprey will be the best match of the weekend. Um, as far as just wrestling matches go, don't know where they're going with it as far as those two go because I've thought all along since the Owen Hart began that it was set up for Osprey to go and take that title. But it's AEW, it's Tony Khan. You never know. Something could change.
I mean, he was quoted as saying, what was it? Somebody posted that he was saying that nothing's wrong or something. I kind of read through it as I was actually at work and I'm like this on my phone, like I'm actually working because my office is tucked like in the back of the room. So like I can sit here and be on my phone and no one's gonna like notice me. So I kind of read it and I just skimmed through it and I said, well, when you've got the backyard buffoons in one ear and the other ear telling you what to do and how to run the company. And I mean it's been well documented by several people. And I'll quote Mr. Tito of no DQ, sorry. I had to stop.
Tito Santana?
No, Mr. Tito. If you, he was on Lords of Pain. And
Yeah, he's been around forever. He was a writer on Lords of Pain for a long time.
Yeah, and and this guy again has got a degree, something in finance. So he works with numbers, very good aspect, and understanding of the wrestling industry from the money metric side. And he said all along that the backyard buffoons shouldn't be EVPs. They're toxic to the company. And my response to that statement, I believe it was Wrestling Discord, maybe that Tony Khan made it, where everything's fine, this is this, whatever. I'm like, well, you got two guys that are in your ear telling you what to do, that you listen to them, because you allow them to walk all over you. You have no consequences. You allow them to run your biggest star out of the company. You still can't get over 1 million viewers and you book week to week. And you wonder why, things are happening. I don't want AEW to fail, but Tony Khan should really just sign the checks and be done with it and let people who are qualified run a wrestling company. Then maybe he'd get over 1 million viewers.
Well, I'll tell you this. I ain't mad at him. I ain't mad at none of them. You go back, but if he claims he's this historian, right? That he's a wrestling historian. Well, if you are, and I've said this before, I'll say it a million times. If you're such a wrestling historian, let's look at the batshit stuff that wrestlers having creative control caused. One of the, if not the best build-up storyline, one of in wrestling history, but if not the best, was Sting and Hogan. And they pumped up Sting. He didn't speak for over almost 2
years. God, yes.
And because he showed up, and he showed up and wasn't as tan as they thought he should be, and this, that, and the other. That angle just. I was watching that match. I was hyped for it. I'm like, all right, Sting's gonna win the belt. We know that. See where it goes from here. And then that, Hogan drops the leg, 1, 2, 3. And then Bret Hart comes screaming about a fast 3 count. I'm like, no, I don't know what just happened there, but y'all screwed that one up. And then, of course, there's Bret Hart, he didn't have full creative control, but his contract gave him creative control the last 30 days he was there, allowed him to leave the way he wanted to leave. And we saw what that turned into. Mercedes Moné has not put one single person over in AEW. She did lose that New Japan Women's belt, but she wasn't the one that lost. She
also ruined, I think, that she ruined Britt Baker backstage. I think she started a lot of it. I think she started, and this is just my impression, because again, I mean, Tony Khan gave her more than what she was making in WWE, gave her creative control, and basically said, look, I'll give you whatever you want to sign with me. So you've got Little Miss, oh my God, just running around backstage acting like she's better than what she was. I would love to see her act that way in WWE. She'd be out the door again.
That's she walked out because they wouldn't give her away. I mean, so
yeah,
and
I think
Deshaun's asking about wrestling in general being down right now.
Yeah,
not the money, but the product. And I agree. I just for the first time in a long time, it's like people can they might watch whatever, but it's like the last whatever 9 weeks it's been. I might catch the beginning of NXT, then when she's ready to settle down, I'm like, all right, we'll flip it over to Hulu and watch the new episode of The Handmaid's Tale, or The Handjob's Tale as I call it. But there's just been other stuff I've been watching, and so I mean, the FTR Daniel Garcia Nigel McGuinness match interests me for the simple fact of, okay, are we finally, is Edge going to come back? Will he use the name Edge because he can now use it? They let the trademark lapse and did not renew it, so he can now legally use Edge on AEW TV if he wants to.
Thank God.
And if he
comes
back, that'll start setting it up for him and Kristen to get back together. And I'm sorry, his name doesn't bother me, but if they're going to put him and Christian back together, I'm going to need him to use Edge.
They need ENC. They need that Edge and Christian.
I couldn't.
But if they save it for that, then that might be just perfect. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna have it for this one run, and then we can retire after. And I think that would be perfect because then people want to cheer.
Well,
they want to cheer because they love the name.
The two deciding reasons from the interview I heard he did. He said he had both contracts set in his inbox. The renewal for WWE and the AEW contract. Sure. And that WWE wanted to use him as an attraction. They wanted to kind of bring him in and out, which he's kind of done something similar in AEW, but he said he wanted to be there every week. And, he thought he could contribute every week. And in Adam Copeland's defense, he has put some people in AEW over, besides John Moxley. And that's my issue with you don't know if it's Tony Khan or if the contract he gave the performer. It's like we were talking about last week. It's like, I don't mind you bringing all these WWE guys in, and I don't want you to bury them right away or make them lay down right away like you did to Josh Alexander on his first night there. But once you get them established, you bring these people in to start elevating your other talent, like a Powerhouse Hobbs, who's got tons of potential if you use him right. Just that I use him as an example, but like Wheeler uses. I don't know why.
If I were Wheeler Yuta, I'd cut my hair and stop trying to be cool when I'm actually a nerd. I mean, he's like the Steve Urkel or the Gilbert and Lewis of Lambda of AEW. I mean, he's a nerd.
And what's funny is I don't like him when he's in AEW because I think it's silly. I liked him when he was in, like, I remember years ago, I think he was in a couple New Japan LA shows, and he kind of fit because he's a stone face. He's emotionless. So him beating someone is kind of intimidating. But they don't really give him that. I saw too much in AEW. He's still like a lackey, and it's like,
he got beat up by Willow Nightingale.
Let him off the leash because that's intimidating.
When they finally broke him away from the best friends, and he went with what the hell were they, the Blackpool Combat Club. I'm like, okay, you guys get this younger guy over, but they've been trying for what, damn near 2.5, 3 years it seems like,
and he got beat up by a girl.
He's no further than he was when they got him. And Deshaun, I said that at the top. There's no doubt in my mind, Ospreay and Hangman is going to be the best match of the weekend. That's just my opinion. I mean,
I think the Okada.
It damn sure won't be Cena versus R-Truth.
I think Okada Mike Bailey might be a kind of sleeper hit. That's my feeling. Like that could be the one that could upset the main event.
Hey man, I agree with you. Don't knock Dirk Diggler. I mean, Dirk Diggler might come out using that martial arts stuff, and he'll put you down.
Well, Bailey's a Canadian, so I have to like he's French Canadian, but he's Canadian, so I have to,
No, Dirk was a Californian, but no.
What else do we have on the card here?
Are you old enough to know the Dirk Diggler reference?
I remember the name, but I don't remember a specific story that goes along with it.
1997.
Oh, okay. Y'all talk for a second.
That was the only one I could think of.
1997.
It was Mark Wahlberg. He played a porn star.
Oh, I was 9.
That's the only Dirk Diggler I could think of. Jason's looking it up for.
Just to make sure he gets the right reference.
I gotta find the one that I want.
It was the only one I could think of, but I mean, yeah, Yuta to me was interesting when he first came in. He got beat up by a girl, guys. He got beat up by a girl. That's like my nephew who's 15. Funny story, Paul. You're gonna like this one. So he's a casual fan. I took him to an AEW show. Oh God, was it 2022? Like 3 years ago. When he was 12.
Group chat, sir.
And he was watching AEW with me one day when he lived with our other sister, and he's like, "Auntie, who's this stupid looking guy?" And I go, "Oh, that's Brian Cage." And then he also had a
You just saw the picture, Danny.
What?
No, I'm listening to the story. I'm reacting.
So who's the stupid looking guy? You should have heard what he said about Max. Mm-hmm. So then we were sitting there watching, the Backyard Beauty Queens were wrestling somebody when they were part of the trios with Omega. And he's like, "Auntie," he goes, "now I know why you don't like them." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "Well, they're boring and they do the same move during the whole match." This is a 12-year-old who had never watched a live wrestling show, who had never seen the Bucks wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the thing with I'll give you that much. If you see one Bucks match, you pretty much see it.
Yeah, I still remember, but the best words from him were Brian Cage being the stupid looking guy. And that's it.
It's definitely an opinion to have. That's for sure.
You should have heard what he said.
How long ago was that? How long ago was that when he said that about Brian Cage?
That was, oh God, let me see. Wardlow was still with Max.
Oh, okay. He was doing the long tights, the long tights, the mohawk, and the face paint.
Yeah, probably 20. Oh gosh,
he does
2020, 2021. So like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, when you go back and we're talking about the cards. Like I said, FTR and Garcia and McGinnis. I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see for the ending for what might happen at the end, because there is no reason at all to let McGinnis and just like there would have been no reason to let Pat McAfee beat. But in the Bucks' defense on the same match, I mean, if you go back in their prime, if you'd seen one Hulk Hogan match, you've seen them all. If you'd seen one John Cena match, you'd seen them all.
Okay, to be fair, that is one of the major principles of learning American professional wrestling. Is the American style loves repetition. That's what we're taught in classes. If you have a comeback, you do that comeback every match. John Cena. If I said, "What's the John Cena comeback?" you would know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like, it's repetition, repetition, repetition. So I wouldn't necessarily blame that on any specific performer. I would say that's something that every coach in wrestling hammers down. So everyone from Santino to Dusty Rhodes, you know what I mean? Like
Sting was telling a story years ago in an interview. He was talking about when he was traveling the country with Flair, getting over and everything. And he said that he looked at Rick and he's like, "Look, can we do something different tonight?" And Rick's like, "Why?" You beat your chest, you power slam me. He goes, "Why? The crowd loves it." He goes, I was just like, okay. He goes, we go out there and he goes, "Man, as soon as I power slammed him and started beating my chest," he goes, "that place erupted." I'm like, okay.
It's just one of those things, like you can watch Murder, She Wrote every day and you go, "Man, all these episodes are the same." Yeah, we can't blame it. But it's like the Bucks don't make money off those moves, so it's hard for them, for that perspective, to change a lot. You know what I mean? If they get a dip in the paycheck, they'll change.
It's like, when everything wasn't televised the way it is and they could go from town to town, it was due to those people. and now everything's all
Right.
over the TV. And it's like we're seeing the same shit over and over again.
But if you
Days
watch a
and
Marvel
territories
movie,
and
you've watched
shows.
yeah, the house shows and territories definitely changed it because then you could do the loop, and
Yeah.
your match is only televised once on that big
Uh-huh.
pay-per-view, and then you got 6 months to do whatever.
Well, look at the guys, I mean, that would jump from, what was it, Jason? It was Mid-Atlantic to Georgia Championship Wrestling. Is
Yeah,
that
all
right?
those, those guys could go from territory to territory. I mean, you could watch, like I said, in Martinsville. I don't know how we did it because it was a very small southern town, but wrestling would start coming on at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the shit wouldn't go off till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You get an hour break, and then the 6:05 show comes on. Then you get if it wasn't baseball season, you got 2 hours there, and then 3.5 hours later at 11:30, Worldwide's coming on, which was another Mid-Atlantic product, and then after that,
Let's go back in the day.
You would get the show with Joe Pedicino and Gordon Soley called Pro Wrestling This Week, which was showing all the territories, highlights from all the territories, and so I mean, my Saturday, if I was watching TV 9 times out of 10.
And even if you're a worker, like that's just your perspective as a viewer. If I'm a worker, I can go to all those territories and I can work all those territories. If you're lucky, if you're a Road Warriors or Dusty, you can do what you want. But then once they're done that loop, there was a bunch of schools in Germany during the 80s and 90s. That's where Alex Wright came from. There was always World of Sport in England. You go from there, you bounce over to Japan, you do All Japan, New Japan. You can hit all those guys, boom, back to the States. Now, from that loop, you haven't been in California in 6 months. And Ric Flair has been a cocky little guy that whole time. And all of a sudden, the Road Warriors, come out. The crowd goes nuts because, that's, you know what I mean? It's the perfect
keep the Gators
loop.
on.
Well, and it's like his job. That's why the NWA champion, the majority of the time when a babyface would win it, they didn't keep it very long because the job of the NWA traveling champion was to go to each territory and make a Jerry Lawler or a Kerry Von Erich or a Bob Armstrong, whoever, pick one, and to make them look like they should be the champion, take that ass whooping, make it look like they should be the champion, but barely escape by the skin of their teeth with the belt, and then they go to the next territory and do it all over again. I mean, so, but again, we weren't seeing that every week on TV. I will say one thing for Raw that I do like, that I've noticed since Triple H took over. You're getting a couple of big main events here and there, but you're not getting what it was there for a long time. Yeah, of course you got your Punk and your Roman and your Seth that'll come out and cut the promos, but they're really letting some of the underneath guys and girls come out there and wrestle to get themselves over.
I feel like they have to at this point.
Right,
they're
as far
they're
as Dom goes, and with Penta and Ray coming in, they're giving them a lot of TV time to introduce them to the audience. There's some things that they're doing I don't like, but there's a few things I'm like, oh, all right, I see where the old school mind's coming in here now. So.
Yeah, I feel like their WWE is a little bit in a stress point because it's like a lot of their stars are stars from 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that they're working up are not necessarily in that place to take over. So when John's gone, when Randy's gone, there's a few guys that are just going to go bing, 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 bing. AJ's old. Penta and Phoenix are top talent, but they're in their 40s, I think, now.
I think so, yeah.
They need the current Rocky Maivia. They need more guys where you're like, oh. A good example is if you watch the Attitude Era, Jim Ross highlights all their ages, and he makes sure to let everyone know that they're under 35.
Well, I think
Billy Gunn's 28 years old, this hip hop incomer. He made sure to put over these guys were super young, and that's a separate thing, but that just kind of shows what they were trying to do at that point in the company.
Yeah, they're not calling it NIL like the other, but they're doing something with the colleges and bringing those kids in to train. But I'll say this, now I'm not behind the scenes. I don't know what Triple H is doing, but when you go back, and I mean it's been said several times, but when you had a Dusty Rhodes, you had a Ric Flair, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, they were allowed to, they said it was their character was them with the volume turned up to 10, and they were allowed to be themselves, and they get bullet points on what to talk about. And, I love an interview with Flair. He said one of the last times he was in WWE to go cut a promo, they handed him a script. And you're like, what the hell is this? Well, that's what you're supposed to say. He said, first off, I'm not going to say it. Even if I agreed to say it, by the time I get to the ring, I'm going to forget what's on this paper. And, and when they're allowed to go out there and with the, bullet points, you got to hit who you're, where you're, well, not anymore because they hit it so much, but, back in the day, it was who you're going to wrestle, where you're going to be, what you're going to do to them, and, catch me in the Omni.
Do you guys have the 5 W's and an H? Do you remember that? Like who, what, where, why, when, and how?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's a promo. That's everything they teach you in a promo class. Who am I fighting? Where am I fighting them? Why am I fighting them? When am I fighting them? How am I going to beat them?
See,
where, Madison Square Gardens, October 28th. Me and Jason Ingram. I'm going to like. That's what you should be doing.
But anyway,
WWE did the same thing back in the day. But like I remember, the Crockett guys talking about every Saturday morning. They'd have to be at the studio at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and they would be there until 3, 4 in the afternoon, and then they would leave to go to whatever town they were going to. But they were there because they would have to cut, 12, 14 different promos for each city they were going to. So when the program aired in that market, and they would show somebody backstage, in front of the Mid-Atlantic Championship banner, whether Tony Schiavone, David Crockett, whoever's interviewing them. It wasn't like on the show. It was like you could tell it was a pre-taped interview. But I'll be in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Friday night. And then they would have to do it again. I want to be in Louisville, Kentucky, this Saturday night. I mean, they just had to. That's why they were there.
I would love to be a fly on the wall because you would do the first promo. You and me, we're gonna fight, and then they'd be like, "Okay, so he's gonna win." You're like, "Oh man, Jason got me good last night, but next night I'm gonna be in this town." And then they're like, "Okay, you won, but you got to make sure that you're cut." Okay, I got him. You have to cut all 5, 6 promos in a row so they can edit it into it. That must be entertaining to watch them.
Well, then that all those house shows back in the day, Hogan was probably about the only one going over clean in those house shows because the NWA was all Dusty finishes except for the undercard. Dusty beating Flair, but then the ref, then Tommy Young wakes up and he saw Dusty throw Flair over the top, and they're in there celebrating. And he goes there and rips the NWA title out of Dusty's hands and gives it back to Flair because of the disqualification. And that's the kind of stuff that would lead up to their big events. Kind of stuff with, like I remember the lead up to Starrcade '83 with, Harley Race hiring Dick Slater and Bob Orton Jr. to take out Ric Flair, and then they're showing this pre-taped, he's in his, he wasn't in a suit, but he was in, dress pants and a shirt, talking about that he had a family, he had kids, and he couldn't be putting himself in the middle of that anymore. And if that's the kind of stuff that was going to go on in pro wrestling, it was time for him to retire. And, the 3 of them are out there laughing, and then Slater and Orton go over there to do a tag team match, and here comes Flair running out like a crazy man with a baseball bat, beating up everybody, telling Race he was going, he was coming to take that title. And, setting up stuff for the next show. And it's like WWE's doing so damn much. It's like, Jesus. I mean, this whole next up until SummerSlam, they're just one right after the other.
Well, this is something that I've always thought I feel like these companies should do, because you can have a company like Marvel where they have R-rated content and they're clear this is R-rated. Like if you watch Jessica Jones, not for kids. They're clear this is not for kids. But because Marvel's this big conglomerate, people know, oh yeah, you can make a show for kids and make R-rated content. When is AEW and WWE going to start splitting? Split the talent into more themed shows, so you can have. Oh, didn't WWE do a fake Fight Club angle for a while where they had that show?
Oh, it was Raw.
It was terrible, but you know what the idea I'm thinking about.
The 3-hour Raw. The last hour was underground.
It was
was that the one that was in like the dark room and Omos was involved? Or something?
To me, I think the idea was good, but the pay, like the way that they worked it, wasn't good. Make it a separate show, have it be an hour, but and make it like give all the like shooters there, because then they have an angle, they have a place to do that style of wrestling.
Well, no, the shooter
you don't have to do it on the.
Go work for Hulk Hogan now in his Real American Wrestling that's coming in August.
Yeah.
And not to get off topic, we'll get back on in a second. But they took WrestleMania away from New Orleans, and rumor has it it's going back to Vegas for the second year in a row. They haven't announced it yet. All they've announced is will no longer be in New Orleans next year. But,
They need to come to Chicago because the last Mania in Chicago was 90s, I believe.
well, do they have any kind of big stadium there that's indoor they could do it in?
Yeah, you've got the United Center, you've got Allstate
No, I'm
Arena.
talking about the United Center holds like 25,000 people.
Yeah.
I'm talking like a stadium like that they do WrestleMania. I mean, I
The
know.
only thing you would have would be Soldier Field.
Yeah, and they're all outside. That's the problem. And
Yeah.
April in Chicago, which I was amazed when they did it in New York. However long ago that's been. I'm like, we gonna get snowed? We gonna get snowed on out there or what? But yeah,
Well, maybe if they keep doing these multiple day manias, they
Mhm.
can do a smaller stadium and just have 7 days of mania.
I've told y'all before. With Netflix, I don't know how the hell you calculate ratings on Netflix, but I guess you can see how much it's getting watched, whether it's live or whether they go back and watch it, later that night, the next day, whatever. But if Netflix is if it's doing well for Netflix, then I hope there's like a women's show in the works, maybe even like bring 205 Live back. I mean, something.
Why not?
I mean,
40,
if you got
40-minute wrestling show, perfect time.
Yeah, if you got this platform, I mean, shit. I mean, you don't even have to you can do it at the damn performance center on the same day you do it next to them.
You know what? I would love to do this experiment one day with us, and we can take a WWE or an AEW roster and kind of go, you know what? These guys would work well in this kind of environment. Let's make a lucha type show. Just to kind of show the example of how these companies can kind of spread out a bit more. Like I remember they had, everybody hates me for this, but I bring it up all the time. Do you guys remember NXT Kids?
No.
Did it once. So it was NXT Black and Gold, Full Sail University.
That's what NXT 2.0 was to me.
But they had a kid commentator, like an adult and a kid commentator, and they had it was very specific kid-friendly wrestling. No punches, no strikes. Everything was roll up or you know what I mean, chain wrestling, that kind of stuff. And I always thought it didn't pay off, but I thought, why not make a kid show? Make it 22 minutes, sell it to cartoon stations. I know it's not a cartoon, but it's wrestling. Yeah. It's as close to a cartoon as you're gonna get. Because there's certain guys that would work perfect for it. You could get the Boogeyman back. It doesn't even have to take bumps.
Oh yeah,
just get him to be there.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say, damn, Jimmy Valiant's in his 80s, brother. But you're talking about
there's a lot. Right?
He's too young to know the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant.
I remember the Boogeyman who'd come out and eat worms.
Oh, he was.
I know creepy. He's older now.
I don't know if I was looking when I see the Boogeyman. I don't know if I'm looking at Kris Kardashian or Caitlyn Jenner.
Well, speaking of Boogeyman, I don't know if you guys, I get bored when I'm doing certain things or waiting. I'll scroll through TikTok, see what's happening. And JoJo did a video of Bray Wyatt's son coming out the front door dressed up as the Fiend. And if that don't pull your heartstrings, nothing will. I was just
anything with JoJo Offerman pulls my heartstrings.
I was like, the way she did the video was that her kid come out dressed up as the Fiend with their kid to Bray's music. And I'm like, I got a little smoke in my eye.
That's, yeah.
But yeah, you hadn't seen that. It's it's a quick video. It's TikTok, so it's not that long. You brought up Marvel earlier, which we've gone back and forth with how just the internet wrestling community is, and some people like Marvel, some people like DC. Is one of them wrong? No, it's a personal preference. You go way back in the day when during the Monday Night Wars, WWF and WCW on fire, and you would have people too sweeting each other and cross chopping each other. Because Stone Cold said so, or you're next. And
6th grade teachers all around the world in shambles.
But,
where are they learning all this language?
But people are watching both, and it was very early on. When the Monday Night Wars took off, that WCW by far had the better undercard with the cruiserweights and everything, and their main events. But their main events had that star power. And then the WWF main events were killing it with Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and Steve Austin, and everything going on there. But again, you didn't have people arguing like they do. Like if you were to say, WWE is better or AEW is better, are you wrong? No, it's what you like. Why do you have to sit there? I mean, I know I'm getting off on a tangent. Just I see stuff all the time. I left a lot of those groups because it's like I'm not. We're not 12.
See, this is why I kind of like being a big fan of Japanese wrestling, because once that conversation happens, you can just kind of go, I'm gonna go over here because I'm quite enjoying myself. So if you guys, I don't know, there is a bit of, but there's tribalism over there. The problem is I don't know it because I can't read Japanese. So whatever, you like All Japan, you like Noah, you like New Japan.
I mean, if you want to understand it, if you want to sit there and tell me WoW is the best promotion out there, you're not wrong. That's what you like. It's fine. I don't care, man. I mean,
that's definitely a promotion to pick.
There's aspects of everything that I watch that I like and that I don't. I mean, it just depends on who's out there.
Hey, man, that's how companies like CZW.
That was a good segment with, good old Mercedes Monet and Jamie Hayter to end the show last night. That was a good segment. But here's the problem with that segment. She's going to go to Double or Nothing, and she's going to do what she does. She's going to bury another AEW talent.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm wrong, let's hope I'm wrong. Jamie Hayter needs to beat her, but because if that makes sense because Tony beat Jamie to take the title. And I think it was right. I think that's when Jamie was going out with her injury, if I remember correctly. I'd have to look it up. But that would bring it full circle to Tony defending against Jamie being she beat her for it. But again, it's Mercedes bald eagle, and so she's probably going to go over, and she hasn't. Like I said, I know this is repetitive, but the bald bitch has not put one person over since she's been there. And
no, she really hasn't.
I mean, so I don't know. Well, I mean, let's see what else we got happening this weekend. The one match on NXT.
Saturday night's main event.
Well, the one I got the cards pulled up here in a second, but I'm trying to think of top off before I look at the cards. I want to see what I can remember that's actually caught my attention. I want to see Trick and Joe Hendry to see what they do because, to me, you cannot let Joe Hendry go out there and lose after he lost to Randy Orton. Now again that's Randy Orton. A lot of people shit on it. I did. Joe Hendry was like y'all think that's burying me? God, please keep burying me. And there's WWE's also supposed to have a big announcement on Saturday night. So, like, all right, what'd you buy now? Did you actually buy TNA? Did you buy something in Japan? Because last time their big announcement was buying, AAA. It's like, so how many big announcements?
People are talking about them potentially buying Pro Wrestling Noah as well.
And that's something we hadn't heard in a while. Mm-hmm. We saw that shit every other week for a while there on AEW. Next week, Tony Khan's got a big announcement, and we hadn't seen that in a while. So.
If every announcement's special, no announcement is special. And this is why we need Jack Tunney. And I understand he's dead, but we need him back. Because get Tony, get Jack Tunney. Can we have AI Jack Tunney be...
There you go.
All right.
Please. I know everyone hates AI.
Which one do y'all want to start with? You want to start with NXT Tampa?
Sure.
Saturday night's main event?
NXT sounds good.
Right. Yeah, NXT.
NXT. All right, let's close out. Where's my matches at? Okay. Where'd my matches go? I don't want to buy tickets. I want the card. Well, like I said, we got Joe Hendry and Trick. Wow, we'll start with that one. What do you want to see with that, Danny?
Trick. I like Joe Hendry. I like the energy the crowd has for him. However, he just I don't know how to describe him. And again, I don't watch TNA, so I don't really know Joe Hendry, but the crowd is nuts for Trick. That guy has just got this incredible energy and incredible charisma. And if they don't call him up, they need to, and maybe put him again with Carmelo in a program like they had like some sort of tag team, and then they broke up and became rivals or something. Trick needs to be main roster.
I agree. Trick is a more main roster
guy.
He's
just got this incredible charisma, but then it's cute though as to how we believe in Joe Hendry thing. That's kind of cute, actually.
Well, the thing with that is, we get that TNA is, TNA. It's not AEW. It's not WWE, but he is their world champion, and you cannot, in my opinion, bring their world champion out and let him lose. I know Trick's a 2 or 3 time NXT champion,
Yeah.
but make him lay down to a guy on your developmental brand.
It's a
No.
very old school philosophy, but
You
it's
simply
still.
you can't.
And I mean, that you've got the WWE champion and the world champion on the main rosters. The NXT title has never been called a world title. It's just always been the NXT title. So to me, I know Joe was thrilled to go out there and be Randy Orton's opponent. I mean, and he played it off well. Like the moment was, he got swallowed up in the moment and got caught with an RKO pretty quickly. He did it well, and he got paid well for it too. And it's Randy Orton again. Nobody's going to get mad as you make anybody lay down for Randy Orton. But Trick Williams is a different story, and so to me, they got to let Joe Hendry go. What do you think?
I think it's definitely a tough one, because if you have these like two opposing sort of heat, like rockets, I guess we could say, if they're both shooting real hot. Personally, okay, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. I'm not a big fan of the Joe Hendry shtick anymore. I loved it a little bit ago, but now every time I see I roll my eyes.
Uh-huh.
I get it. If it's working, it's working. Do your thing. But part of me is like, he's gonna ride this for 17 years here, Curtis.
Sure.
I'm trying not to put him down. This isn't jest, but part of me is like, I think there needs to be a point where does he lose the title at NXT and that oh no, I shouldn't have done that. Something creates a storyline where he gets a bit more serious and we get a bit more realistic Joe Hendry. I like the shtick. It's good for...
If the fans turn on him, it's going to be for the same reason that got him over. The whole shtick that he's doing, and you couldn't really see it unless you caught a glimpse of it on social media somewhere, because TNA is so scarce to find. But now with their partnership with the WWE, he's getting a lot more exposure. So I agree with you. It's like, how long can that continue before?
I feel like, though, by the time he got to WWE, his kind of his memedom had already kind of come down. Because you know what I mean? Wrestling can never be on the cutting edge. It's always a month or two later.
Right.
Because there was a lot of people doing TikToks and stuff, like football players, that were like, oh, this obscure wrestler no one's heard about. And there was this big wave of memedom, and now it's like they're trying to replicate it, but everyone's like, oh, it was a bit last year, we're moving on to the next meme.
Yeah, and I want to go through a couple of these matches quickly, because a couple of
continue. Sorry, we interrupt.
No, there's a couple of them I just don't care about. You got Hank Tank and Josh Briggs versus the Cullen, which is Briggs' former tag team partner, Brooks Jensen, Sean Spears, and whoever the other guy is. Don't care.
Did you see Sean Spears back in developmental?
That's where he's been since he got back.
Mm-hmm. And he's got more of a personality. I felt like, because I didn't watch NXT before, so Ricky got me into NXT, but I felt like in AEW he had personality, but I also feel with Tony Khan, he struggles to find that personality. How do I put it? Okay. He struggles to find the wrestler's real personality and fictionalize it. Because I feel like with every performer, you have a facet of their true personality. And I say that because I follow Ricky Starks on Twitter, and he's fun. He's very engaging with the fans. He's very sensitive. He's a very down-to-earth guy, real stand-up guy. And he's just fun to fun. He's fun. And I mean, I would buy the guy a beer and a pizza in the city of Chicago. But still, I think what Tony Khan struggled is that he struggled to find their real personalities and attach them to their characters, which is why Sean Spears didn't really have a personality. Well, now that he's back in developmental.
Well, to play devil's advocate on that, one of the things you hear about Tony Khan a lot is that he lets them go out there and do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So is that Tony's fault or is that the performer's fault? because when the performer gets to NXT, they've got Shawn Michaels and a plethora of coaches back there going, you need to do it this way. You need to
Sure.
do it right. So again, is that Tony's fault? It is to a point if he's letting them go out there and do what they want to without following coaches' advice, whoever's back there. But so we got Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo. Now I will say I really like Tony D'Angelo. You can tell with his in-ring style.
I do.
His former, being a former collegiate wrestler. The only thing I've said about Tony D since I've seen him from day one was that gimmick will not work on the main roster. They got to figure out what.
No, it won't.
I love to watch him wrestle. He's got charisma, but that gimmick will not work on the main roster. This is not 1984 anymore. The mobster thing's not going on. And the whole Channing Stacks Lorenzo thing.
Counterpoint. This is a polite counterpoint. The FBI was very popular in the aughts, the 2000s. Remember Tony Mamaluke and Nunzio? They were comedic. Yeah. They were that angle.
They try to make Tony D a serious character. So.
Oh, yeah. If it's like Godfather, then no. If it's like, hey, fun times happening. I don't know what accent
he's well dressed and you don't mess with the family type thing. And like I said,
Nunzio's a bit more over the top comedic.
Yeah.
But that, the FBI was great. They were hysterical, but
they really were.
But like that's not the character they had Tony D'Angelo playing. Like so, the whole Stacks thing, Ray Charles saw that coming. They set that up for weeks and the looks and this, that, and the other. So. Don't know which way they'll go with that one. And the Stacks might bring a new family in, and they'll call Tony D up. Who knows? The women's North American title is on the line. No Ricky Saints on this card, but you got Sol Ruka and Kalani Jordan. I could care less. That's another Sol Ruka. That's another one. Her and Tony D'Angelo both. She's terrific in the ring. She's got great athleticism.
Yeah.
But that surfer gimmick. This is not 1984 anymore. It's not.
Or actually 1995. Remember Kona Crush?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw how well that got over on the main roster.
He was so mad because Doink was making kids cry. That was the whole beef. Oh.
Uh-huh.
That's
a great part.
We talked about Joe and Trick. Then you got Obafemi against Miles Bourne. It's a feel-good story, but at the end of the day, they're not going to let Miles Bourne win the NXT title.
No, it's Oba. I feel like is just he's got this commanding presence about him that makes you want to watch. He's like the guy that just comes out and you're just, he's here. What is he going to say? There's no way. I like the story of Miles Bourne. I think that's really interesting, and it's very powerful that this is a guy who I think is nearly deaf or partially deaf or something.
Partially.
Yeah, that he's actually in, pro wrestling.
Now, I mean, if they really wanted to do a feel good with that guy that won LFG, that big dude that won LFG, he attacked Oba at the end of the show or the end of that segment,
right?
The night. So I mean, if they really wanted a feel good moment to put the title on him for a month, they could let that guy interfere.
But him beating Oba, that's not going to happen. No way.
No, I don't think so. But I at this point, anything that gets done on either side is either company does not shock me. And before we talk about what's going to be the main event, I'll make this point too. NXT was, it's been great for what they wanted it for what Triple H, had in mind, because all the territories had went out of business for the training ground of it. Mm-hmm. But to me, what they have not figured out with NXT yet, when that small crowd, it's kind of like the old Georgia Championship Wrestling Studio. Just it holds a few more people, but not a lot. You've got that small crowd, that small group. That's a very intimate setting, and those guys and girls can come out there and they can get over like Grover with those 200-300 people, whatever that place holds. And a lot of it, Carmelo. I like Carmelo. So the first time I saw Carmelo in that Next Star tournament, whatever they call it, I said that guy's gonna be good. And then when they finally,
I do like Carmelo.
And a couple months went by, and then Trick came in. They turned him heel and let him start talking on the mic. I'm like, yeah, he's got something. But it hasn't translated to the main roster. They're trying, but that's they got to figure that one out. Like Oba looks like $1 million.
He really does.
But you know, Oba would need a Paul Heyman because of the way
Yeah.
he talks for the main roster. That intimate setting and the NXT audience right there, they fell in love with him. He's huge. He comes out.
Yeah.
He looks like $1 million. But when you get to the main roster, I mean, Gunther keeps getting pushed. He's great in the ring, but he gets booed, but he's not getting that massive heel heat like you would want him to get.
He's like a warm Diet Coke.
The push they're getting. But like I said, that NXT for what they wanted it for, with the territories being on, I mean, it is. But they have to figure out that in between of, like Tony D'Angelo's a prime example. He's over with that NXT audience, but it's like I said, 200-300 seat arena. They're there every week, just like Georgia Championship Wrestling, just like World Class in the Sportatorium every week. It's the same concept. You got to figure out, okay, what do we need to tweak before we get them over here? Because they're going to get a pop when they come out if they're a former NXT champion, but you got to be able to sustain it, and they have not been able to do that with hardly damn near anybody, to be quite honest with you. Mm-hmm. And then you got the main event, which to me, she's the hottest thing WWE's got right now, and she's in NXT. That's Stephanie McClure against Jordan Grace. Stephanie McClure, she can devil's kiss me any fucking time she wants to, Jack.
NXT.
Don't let your girlfriend hear you say that.
Oh no, you I'll call her in here, damn it. You ought to see her when Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest is going at it. She wants to be the one trying to separate them without really trying to separate them. She just wants to jump in the middle. Wow. Okay. And every time Stephanie McClure wraps her legs around somebody's head and sticks her, turns around, I'm like, just give me just one time. Just once ain't gonna be enough. But Jordan Grace and Stephanie McClure, I can't see Stephanie losing. She completely, to me, needs to be the main event. He's watching Collision, Sean. He's been taking a little bit of a break. Some people pissed him off. So he's been taking a little bit of a break here and there. But he's watching Collision. He will probably report on that on Friday or Saturday. I forgot what day they go on. But yeah, that Stephanie McClure and Jordan Grace is the way this is set up on here, is set up to be the main event. And I kind of tend to agree with that, because she is, like I said, for the NXT audience, Stephanie McClure is the hottest thing they got. What you think, Danny?
I do like Stephanie. I can't say her last name, Vicaire. She's catchy. Jordan Grace just looks like she was like stretched, kind of like Gumby, made out of Play-Doh, and they just like dropped her head on her shoulders from a claw machine.
I didn't realize how short she was when she was standing there. I forgot who it was she was standing next to. Like, oh damn, she's little.
Yeah.
Stephanie Vicker of Dibley.
She's got Jordan Grace just looks awkward to me.
Well, I was reading the other day that Julia was not supposed to be called up to the main roster this quick. They were kind of going to let them go back and forth, kind of like we were talking about with Fletcher and Ospreay. But Stephanie has gotten so over. They told Julia, like, yeah, we don't want to like keep the title off of you because of how over she got. We're just going to bring you on up. So Julia is now on SmackDown. But that is NXT. Any final thoughts on the NXT Tampa Battleground for either one of you before we go?
Where's Ethan Page? Oh God, I can't say enough about Ethan Page and just how
he's feuding with the other guy, with the other man, Ricky Starks.
Yeah, and he and Tony Khan really dropped the ball with Ethan Page.
Yeah. All right, where do you want to go next? AEW or Saturday Night's Main Event?
Let's go AEW, and then we'll go back to WWE.
Sure. Fair enough.
Okay. I don't know where they're going to start with this one. Well, we'll go to the Hurt Syndicate, against the Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara.
How y'all doing? Oh.
I mean, that's, we all give Tony a lot of shit for some of the things he does, but the Hurt Syndicate has looked amazing. But I kind of go back. It's like, what else you do with them? I mean, when you stand them up next to Private Party and some of the other tag teams that are there, Top Flight, the Crew, I did like the reference Leo Rush gave to Bobby Lashley about, hey man, what about our history? When we go get a shot? I'm like, damn, I forgot about the hype man Leo Rush there for a little bit.
I did too.
And but I was like, oh yeah, they do have a history. But the Ring of Honor Tag Champs versus the AEW World Tag Team Champions. The Hurt Syndicate's on fire. I don't see that stopping here. Yes, no, maybe.
Who pissed off Connor? It
Uh,
was me. We had a big like promo battle back and forth, and I called him a poopy head, and he
it was just
decided it was too far, and that was it.
it's just some people in the IWC making comments. They don't need to commenting on things that aren't
Now I'm sad.
They don't like making on stuff. So
Shame.
me, I just tell somebody fuck off. That's just me. But and we need a break. No, I understand. We need a break every once in a while because everything I've been through, and Danny, you heard me say this, Paul.
Yeah.
When I first came on, he tried to get me to do this for a couple of months, and I kept telling him, because the IWC was just awful. I'm like, dude, I've got so much on my plate. The last thing I want to do is come on here and argue with a bunch of people. And then when I finally broke down and did it, Adam was the host of what the hell was the name of the show? I don't forgot now. Adam.
Zone.
No, that's the network.
But anyway.
I don't even remember. My God.
But yeah, I met Adam, Danny, Connor, of course. And so, and there's been a couple of negative comments here and there, but it's like I tell everybody, if people come on here, man, all y'all talk about fucking WWE. It's like that's why it's called WrestleZone Unfiltered. This is not a strict show about WWE, AEW, and we're going to talk about it all. So I'm Hurt Syndicate. Anybody else? Anybody think that Dustin and Sammy might beat them?
I think it's going to be an old school kind of match because Dustin's in it, and probably everyone's going to let Dustin take control. You just tell us what you want, we'll do it. Because even like Sheldon's probably got 20, 25 years experience. That's nothing on Dustin. So they're probably going to let him call the spots, and it's going to be probably going to be a perfect mid-card tag team match. But then Shelton, Hurt Syndicate will go over.
Yeah, that's one thing I've liked. MVP on the outside. They're kind of letting him do his own thing. But when it's normally Shelton that gets in a little bit of trouble, and he'll start yelling at him, "Stop playing with your food! Stop playing with your food!" And 2 minutes later, the match is over. Then we got for the Continental Championship, Kazuchika Okada versus Dirk Diggler.
I think we're just kind of like, oh, Okada's got a match. That's another one. What happened to this guy? This guy was supposed to be supposedly the biggest thing in New Japan. He comes over. I'm sitting here watching AEW. I'm like,
to put a bit more context, he wasn't necessarily just like a big guy.
Okay.
He was the guy for
a big name. Thank
12 years.
Okay, a big name. Thank you. So
he was the Hogan. He wasn't a Savage. He was the guy, the guy's guy. Everyone, he shut down everyone.
So he comes over. We don't know who he is. And Jason, you talking about the groups, how some of the stuff I've posted in my response, Paul, as an educator, I'm like, please, what did I say to somebody? I go, please learn how to write a legit sentence before you come for me, because I just, some of the people in these groups, it's like, if I don't understand, again, why Okada was signed, and I'm like, who is this guy? They're like, well, pay attention. I'm like, Tony Khan's not doing any vignettes about who he is to introduce him to the American audience. If you don't get NJPW and I don't get it here in Wisconsin, I wouldn't know where to find it. So how am I going to know who he is? He was the name. Thank you, Paul.
The guy, yeah.
The guy over there gets on a plane, comes over here, and it's like, what happened to him? They basically made him into the Bucks. You know what? I don't think I can say that word. on air, but I mean, if Jason can swear, then I can. He basically made him into the Bucks.
I think I understand.
That's it.
Well,
I'm not saying it's a good
happened?
methodology.
We don't know.
I think I understand why they're doing this with Okada. If you guys remember, not too long ago, Kenny went out for an injury. I think this was a year or two ago, and he pinpointed it going back to a match he had with Okada, and it was one of those hour-long wars. Actually, Nakamura is a good example of this. When they were in New Japan, they put on
I was getting ready to go there, so
matches that really put a toll on their body. And really, I'm going to sacrifice my body. It's like Mick Foley to tell a story, to get my name out there. They did that for years. So then when Kenny and Jay White and all these guys that were mega stars, mega kind of wrestlers over there, they can come over and all of a sudden it's like, wait, you're going to let me go goof around with the Guns? You're going to let me just go be silly with my friends, the Bucks? Yeah, I'll do that. They're like, well, do you want to put on hour-long epics? No. No one does. Their bodies all don't want to do that. So that's what I think is happening.
That's kind of where I was going to go. You know, I compare his run in AEW to Shinsuke's in WWE. There was a lot of hype for a certain portion of the audience with him coming over. And they hit so hard and did such brutal stuff in Japan that they come over here and, I'm going to make 7 figures and, you know.
So if I can recommend a match, there was a match, I think it was Wrestle Kingdom 9, Kota Ibushi versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And it was probably 30 minutes, 25 minutes. They lowered their life expectancy in that match. I would totally recommend everyone watch that match. Crazy super match, Wrestle Kingdom, so it's WrestleMania level. They do things to each other's bodies where it's like, that's why you need neck surgery. That's why you need knee surgery. But some of these guys want to tell those stories. They want to go out there and really put themselves on the line. You can only do that so long. Mm-hmm. There's a reason Tama Tonga is known he's known as being the guy that goes, ha 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 ha, because his body's shot. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are older and they're beat up. So a slower program, a slower, what do you want to call it, work schedule, they're probably enjoying it.
Yeah, but I don't see Okada dropping that belt.
Not to my
I think they're setting that up for because I've heard they're going to combine that with the international title. So I just see them pointing him and Kenny to each other for.
I know Okada will look great holding 2 belts. He's the perfect character for that. I don't think the name works, but his imagery holding 2 belts, the way they stack vertically, perfect for that. And and then you can unify them.
Mark Briscoe and Ricochet.
I think that's going to be a gem. I think that's going to be a little bit.
It'll be a good match. I mean, but
I don't think Briscoe can have a bad match. Like, I'm not big on him, but I don't think he can have a bad match. He's been doing it for way too long. He's such a good storyteller, and Ricochet's doing this like. I don't know if I want to reference the person he's satirizing, but it's like he's doing this kind of scumbag character.
Every time Ricochet's in the ring and people are smacking him on his head, it just makes me giggle.
Okay. People want to poop on Ricochet.
That would go either way, depending on.
But I think he's turned that kind of around. People kind of pooped on him online. I think he's taken that in the right direction.
And we'll go to this one. This is just not a match that I'm fond of simply because of the.
Oh, is this going to be the dog pound match or the
people in the arena? I would hate this match if I was in the arena. TV is fine, but that anarchy in the arena when they're all around the arena. They're on one side of the arena you can't see from your side. They're moving back. They'll show people fighting in the back. They're just all over the place. But you got Kenny Omega, Willow Nightingale, Swerve, and the Ops versus the Death Riders and the Young Bucks. And the Death Riders do include Marina Shafir. So, Connor, if you're listening, your girl's going to be on pay-per-view Sunday night. Make sure
she's going to get her ass. Oops, sorry, her butt whooped.
Can we just take a moment to enjoy the names on each side? Because I was like, okay, Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, Hobbs, Samoa Joe, and Shibata. How is Hobbs the weak link and he's so big? He's the strongest person on the team, but he's the weak link in theory. But like, we're lucky to be in kind of matches like this. I think some people might not like it.
I would like it a lot better. I mean, I'm not saying copy WWE, but like in a war game scenario where they're actually in the ring.
Yeah, because I was just going to compare it to.
I mean, they've had great people in these matches for however long they've been doing it. I mean, I forgot the first one.
And they just recently had what they call a dog pound match in New Japan, which is war games essentially. But like I said, every time it's brutally bloody.
The match itself is fine for TV because you got different camera angles following different people.
Mm-hmm.
The arena here, backstage here, over here, and then you might get somebody, two of them to stagger back toward the ring. I'm talking about if I go to a wrestling match, I don't care if you fight outside the ring, but keep it around the ring. Where we can see what's going on. If you work it the right way. If you go outside the ring, you go on this side once, and you go back.
Fighting on the stage is great because usually it's elevated and the crowd can see it better.
Yeah,
sure.
But
no, I get that though. I'm not paying money to watch something on a screen.
Yeah.
And that's been my thing. I'd love to go to a Super Bowl. I'd love to go to a WrestleMania, but I'm going to have money to get good seats.
The only way I'll defend it,
thousands of dollars to sit there and watch a big show.
Yeah, the only way I'll defend it is the old WWF hardcore matches. You put it dead in the middle of the show. You make it 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to find the right spot for it. It's got to be short so we can kind of giggle and save our energy for the next match. But it can't be this match. This is 10-person match. It's gonna be 40 minutes.
And I'm sitting there looking at both sides. The Death Riders are going to win because it's the Bucks and the Death Riders. But I'm sitting there looking on the other side. Okay, all right, who's going to get pinned or tapped out? And I just keep my eyes going back to Willow. It's like they're going to, something because they've already let Moxley DDT her before. So, my eyes are going to Willow.
Who's going to be the pin taker? It's like Hobbs and Yuta definitely scream as the pin takers of those matches.
Well, you've got both ladies on there, so I can completely see Marina or Willow also being the one to take the ball as well. But again, it's not anything against the match. It's just I would hate to be in the arena for that match. Is all I'm saying.
That match was perfect for COVID. During what was the arena they were at?
They were in Jacksonville, the Daly's Place. They went out.
Daly's Place.
They went out on the football field.
This is something that I argue that they should kind of go back to because when they were at Daly's Place, everybody had their own little area in the back, and you understood it. This is where the Dark Order went. This is where the Young Bucks were. So when they had an Anarchy in the arena match, it's like a cartoon. You would get to go to all the different sets. Oh, we went to the bar because that's where Hangman thing is. Oh, we went to here because that's where they hung out. Oh, here's Brody Lee caught in the middle of it because they went in. I want to say they had something like that in WWE where it was AJ and Brian, and they stumbled into Vince McMahon's office. And they're like, sorry, sir. And they closed the door, and then they start fighting again. That stuff's good, but that's very sports entertainment.
And we got the FTR versus McGuinness and Garcia. We talked about that a little bit earlier. I'm interested for the finish, is what I'm interested for. I'm interested to see if Edge comes back. As Edge. Like I said, y'all just join us. WWE did not redo that trademark so he can legally use Edge now. So we'll see what happens there. Like I said, there's no reason in the world that a commentator and Garcia should beat, what a lot of people consider to be the best tag team in the business today. But we'll see. Like I said, I'm interested for the finish on that one. Ladies matches. One of my two favorite things going on, God, I sit here and talk about them. My three favorite things on TV right now are all women. And that is Toni Storm, Harley Cameron, and Mina Shirakawa. You got Toni and Mina, and it'll be a decent match, but Tony's going to retain. They're not ready to take that offer yet. They're either setting up for Tony Jamie or Tony Mercedes at All In. Is my take on that. What do you think, Paul?
I don't know. I'd have to let's let Danny go first. I gotta.
The take on, I was writing something down. The take on.
I said, you got the women's world title, Tony and Marie. And I said, to me, Tony's going to go over in this one because they're setting up either Tony Jamie or Tony Mercedes for All In. I think it'll be a good match.
Yeah, and that sounds right when you say it out loud, actually.
I'm just gonna say watch for the shoes, and I hope Mercedes.
I've got that shirt.
Watch for the shoes. I'm gonna go Tony because Tony is just so over. This gimmick is just gold. She plays it so well. The energy, the charisma in this gimmick is just unreal. And it would be pointless not to have her win this one so she could face I think I'm better than everyone else, Monet. So I'm going Tony with this one.
I think we can just look at the last name of her opponent and go, yeah, she probably is not winning on AEW TV.
Yeah.
I hate to highlight that, but there is a history there.
There you go.
Here's the thing for me on that one too. There's, Tony helped Mina last night when she was on commentary and then she got jumped after the match. Tony helped her. There's no animosity there. It's just hey, I won this. I'm going to get a title shot. But when you go, playing devil's advocate, and let's just say Mercedes actually lays down for Jamie. There's a story there, where Tony beat Jamie and then Jamie was out for however 18 months, whatever it was with her injury. Or then you got Mercedes. It could be, the two women's champions, title versus title. I mean, it's not going to be on the line, but champion versus champion. So there's a story there either way. There would not be if Mina was to take the title, and you're coming up on your biggest show of the year. That's my thought process behind it. Yes, no, maybe.
I think it makes sense to me. I think, yeah, Tony's just too hot right now to kind of
Pull her down.
Yeah, like just her promos are super entertaining.
Yeah.
Pop culture is starting to latch onto her. Just keep the rocket strapped to her.
No,
This is probably going to be a phenomenal match. But
Vader can recapture the magic she had before she got hurt, because she was on fire before she got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, she just hasn't been the same with the fans, since she got back. But let's hope,
But this is a gimmick that you can lean into harder to protect yourself physically.
And like I said, you got her and Mercedes in the finals of the women's Owen Hart bracket. I love to see Jamie win, but I just can't see Baldy laying down for anybody. So that's my opinion on that one.
Do we know anything about where Britt is or where she's going?
There's so many conflicting reports.
Yeah, there's speculation that she wants to come back, but something about Tony Khan has nothing for her, or maybe I misread that. There's speculation that she's headed to WWE.
No, man, I've heard all that. I mean, but we won't know till it happens. So.
I think, to be fair, every time I hear that person's going to WWE, I immediately discredit it, because that's what every single person says about every single wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
So as soon as they say, like, Josh Alexander is going to WWE, it's not that I wouldn't believe Josh Alexander's good enough for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I just go, everyone says that about everyone. That's the default. They can't go anywhere else. You know what I mean? So she's got loads of options. She can go to Stardom for a couple months. She can go anywhere. We'll take her. She can work Diana for all we know. You know what I mean? Like, there's tons of companies that will take her.
Oh yeah, I mean, she's if she's not under contract with them anymore, I mean, he's 100% right. She's got options. She can do whatever she wants. And, I think WWE would take her. I absolutely do think they'd take her.
Who knows? She could do the whole journeywoman gimmick for a while and just do a crowd of the indies. And
the NXT like core crowd is the closest thing that WWE has to the AEW audience. So if something hit, the Doctor Will See You Now in NXT, she's going to get a huge pop. Now on the main roster, maybe not. But on NXT, they would go crazy.
Oh yeah.
Then we got the main event: Hangnail, Adam Page, and Will Ospreay.
Hangnail. Oh, the Hangnail.
6.5 star Dave Meltzer classic.
I was thinking more like 8.5 star.
No, I've already said
but it's not in the Tokyo Dome.
No.
Okay,
this will be the match of the week.
You gave it 6.5. Meltzer would give it 7.
We're taking the piss, but honestly, those two guys are great. Will has taken all the criticism levied against him and completely switched it. Like, people can complain about him now, like the flippy stuff and all that.
Sure.
Go watch 4 years ago. Go watch 5 years ago in the best of the juniors.
I love Will Ospreay.
He's 1,000 times better
Like
when
I
it
said,
comes
as
to
soon as
less
I saw the
flips.
brackets for this tournament set up, I was convinced then, and I'm still convinced that it was set up for him to win and go on to All In and win the title. I don't know where they're going with him and Page. I don't know where Page goes after this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, Adam Page, is it possible he wins? I mean, anything's possible. I'm not.
I think what you can do with this is have a match where they're I always call it a call and response match, where it's like perfectly even. It's like you do a move, I do a move, you do a move, I do a move, and just tell the story that like these guys are at the top of their game, and both of them are S tier class talents for AEW. Like you don't necessarily have to have one of them. Like one of them has to win, yes, but both of these guys can tell a story where they both win. Hopefully,
Yeah, like I said, I'm just interested to see where Page might win. I mean, there's a possibility, but again, I thought this was set up for Ospreay to go, and Moxley beats Hangman and All In, and Moxley beats Ospreay. Anything's possible, man. And yes, go to your upper comment. Penta's been way over in WWE, but he's also a lot bigger star in a lot of different places than Britt Baker. I mean, if that's what you're talking about. I mean, there's several of those
to be
people
fair, Penta has always been very over. He's been one of those talents. He's got a great look. He's got a great style.
I mean, I know a lot of people don't like the Usos as a tag team, but I would love to see the Usos against the Lucha Brothers. I'd like to see it. It might turn out, it might be awful, but I still want to see it. But any final thoughts on that one, Hangman and Will? I'm going Will. How about you, Danny?
The question being, if Hangman won, would it be considered stale, boring, useless? If Ospreay won, it would elevate him. So I would think that Ospreay would need to be elevated a little bit more. It's going to be interesting. I'm kind of undecided on that one only because I do like Hangman Page, and I'm slowly warming up to Ospreay. So I'm kind of in the middle of that one.
What about you, Paul? Will or Hangman?
Honestly, it could go either way, just depending on what goes later. Those guys are both S-class talents. Like, personally, I look at those names and I go, they've got to be near the top 10, like, for best active wrestlers right now. You know what I mean? Like, this is just going to be a banger. Let's just sit back, grab the popcorn, and let these two go to town on each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to shorten each other's lives. That's what's going to happen. That's honestly what's going to happen.
Oh, no, like I said, I would. I mean, you never know what might come out of nowhere, but again, I'll be the contrarian. I'll say Hangman Page is going to win. Just so there's a bit of. I mean, I think it's going to be the match of the weekend with everything we got. And then we get to Saturday night's main event. And, well, I was wrong. I forgot about this match. Hangman and Ospreay stand no chance to topping what John Cena and R-Truth are going to do.
To be fair, this is like the perfectly booked opposition of shows, because that one show's going to be a hardcore work fest, and this is going to be comedy.
Is that match going to be 5 minutes? I don't know. Jey Uso and Logan Paul for the world title. I don't care. CM Punk and Sammy versus Rollins and Breaker. The only thing I'm interested to see is what might happen with somebody else, to see where we go to further involve someone else in the storyline.
Yeah, you need more people.
Are we going to get Roman to come back? Are we going to get Austin Theory? They keep talking about him joining the group. So that I'm interested to see, just to see what happens. And I don't care about McIntyre and Priest for the 800th time. I just don't. That was a nasty bump they took in the Fatal 4-Way for the U.S. title, but I mean, their roster is so stacked that I just don't get why we got to see the same two guys for the past 3 things. But that's my opinion. But I think McIntyre wins. I don't know what's going to happen with the Punk and Sammy Rollins and Breaker. I think somebody else will get involved and see where that goes.
I have my
I
Punk
don't
shirt.
think
and my
Usos dropping
toothpaste.
this title yet, but I can completely see them putting it on Logan Paul too. And,
Oh God.
and
Ugh.
I mean, if you hear Triple H talk, he's very high on Logan Paul.
And
Like,
Logan Paul's only there, kids. Remember, negotiations
And
work
everyone
wonders
else
when you're
hates
not a
him.
trained wrestler born in the business like the Usos.
well, like I said, I mean, I don't see Uso dropping it, but I wouldn't be
Mhm.
shocked if he did.
Yeah.
And then there's they got this. I don't know if this is the way it's going to be, but they have this match of Cena and R-Truth in the main event spot. So,
45 minutes.
if that, I mean,
They're
well, I
going
mean,
to stare
well,
at each other for
R-Truth,
50.
yes. If you know, I don't know. I don't even know how you would do it, but if you had something happen in the back that
Oh God.
had something like a backstage segment that really pissed off R-Truth, and he's like, he cut one of them Ron Killings promos, like, you know what, I just try to have fun and be happy and
Mhm.
make my money and go home, but now you pissed me off. Now you go get to see a side of me you wish you would never saw here. Not that he would beat Cena that way either, with the storyline going on, but at least it would make it a little more interesting to watch.
I think you'll see all that in the match, and it'll be pantomime. It'll be, it'll be
Boring.
so it'll be sports entertainment. It'll be. I think that's how they're going to do it. They're going to do it in ring. They're going to do it through pantomime, and they're going to tell that exact story. How could you? Blah blah blah. John Cena starts doing his comeback, but then R-Truth starts doing his own comeback back to Cena himself, and it's all going to get very meta.
Well, the good thing is that my sister lives between two bars, so right smack in the middle. So I could either go down to the end of the block, take a right with my phone, go have a couple drinks at the bar, which I might need to for that main event, or I could walk towards the city of Chicago, go down the street to Carol's dive bar, have a couple drinks with my phone because I'm probably again going to need to drink during the main event.
Yeah.
It sounds so boring to me. It sounds like a meeting that I went to when I was a 4K assistant teacher in college, and I was made to go to a district meeting that talked about test scores. I'm like, I'm an assistant teacher. Why am I here?
See, I feel like I'm the odd man though, because like I'm not a big WWE fan or sports entertainment fan, but when I see a match like that, I'm like, I feel like that's gonna sit sort of where Sammy Jackass match was.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be
Johnny
Knoxville. I think it's gonna be ridiculous. I think it's
Yeah.
gonna be over the top, but it's gonna be the exact match that you need at this point in this like road to his retirement.
Mhm.
Because we were saying this before,
I'm waiting to see Cody Rhodes to Sean because I keep wondering, and I don't know if you guys were listening last week, but I've said before, I think where we end with this is going to be the double turn by the end of it. Everybody was so mad that Cena won at WrestleMania, and I'm like, well, why? What else do you do with it? If you don't let it win at WrestleMania, then it's just hey, I'm here for the last time, and and on TV that's going to get really, really old. Like I said, to me, my opinion is by the time we get to the end of this, you're going to see Cena retire as a babyface and Cody do that slow turn to where Cena was pointing out that how the fans had turned on him and this, that, and the other, and booing him. Cena and Orton, I thought was a good match too, and it's telling a story, and it looks like it's setting up for Nick Aldis and Randy Orton to finally have a match. I'm all about seeing Nick Aldis finally get a match in WWE, and you got Rollins beats Jay at SummerSlam. I think Rollins is going to win that title before then. I think you'll get Uso, not Uso. Shit. I think you'll get Rollins and Punk at SummerSlam for the title. I think Rollins is going to get that title sooner rather than later to set that up. I don't know what you do with Jay, where you send him after that, because again they're older, but their main event side is stacked right now, and and see that's what I was saying. If Cena didn't win, and the heel turn, I mean that's I thought Michael Cole did very well at WrestleMania, pointing out, with Cena getting older, and how Ric Flair retained and won most of his 16 world titles on record. I think it's like the actual number is like 23 if you listen to him talk. But that's just I'm interested to see where that goes. I mean, how Cena does it. To me, it might not be with Cody. It could be with somebody else. It would make no sense if it wasn't with Cody to me. But again, you're going to get a babyface Cena by the end of it.
It's like they gotta. Well, I think they can do. I don't know. Okay, you guys are old enough. Remember the Andre the Giant retirement match?
Which
Where
one?
okay, so I'm picturing the one. Maybe it was WrestleMania 3. He goes into it as a heel, and Bobby
Oh
Heenan
no,
goes
that
to
was
like cheat.
no, that wasn't that one. They did some more stuff after that.
Okay, because I remember basically what it was he went into the match as a heel and he worked it heel, and then a manager or something went
Bobby
to
Heenan.
cheat.
Bobby Heenan
Yeah,
got in his
yeah,
face
but
and
he was
started
like,
smacking him.
oh yeah, that's right. He started smacking him, bossing him around. That's when he hit Bobby Heenan, turned
Yeah,
face.
it was
93,
he had tagged him and Haku up as the Colossal Connection.
So I could see
91,
something like
92,
that.
yeah.
So John Cena goes into this final match as a heel. He works it heel. Somehow in the finish of the match, he has that like handshake moment. So he gets to leave as a face, that pop, that walkout, but he gets to go in as a heel. I think that would be the perfect thing for him.
Well, and speaking of Cena, from what I'm reading, I've been seeing his final match will actually be on a Saturday night's main event in Boston. It's not going to be on a pay per view. It's going to be free to the world to see. So long way to go. And yes, the WWE universe fans, the majority of them do not know how good Nick Aldis is in the ring. Him and a lot of people don't realize that him and Adam Pearce both are former NWA champions. I know they had it when the belt didn't mean what it did.
One of the better NWA champions of recent era.
35, 40 years ago, but that doesn't take away. I just think Aldis is tremendous.
So and Aldis is like plucked out of the '80s too. He's a great person for that.
So we will wrap this up with today in pro wrestling history. And God, I want to date myself because I'm sitting there, I'm starting it off, and I remember this stuff, Manny. 25 years ago on Monday Night Nitro, Vince Russo stripped Ric Flair of the world title, also holding a funeral for Flair's career. And Jeff Jarrett defeated Kevin Nash to take the title. And then that was the fourth WCW title change in less than a month. And also Daphne, God rest her soul, beat Crowbar to become the WCW Cruiserweight Champion.
Mm-hmm. Great period of WCW, by the way.
Then we had 33 years ago.
And where did David? And then remember, we also had David Arquette plus the Millionaires Club versus the New Blood.
Well, we're not talking storylines. We're talking what happened today.
Oh,
just today.
And Vince Russo's infamous promo.
Yeah, this is all today, May 22nd in history of wrestling. 33 years ago today, Smoky Mountain Wrestling. If you don't know what that is, that was Jim Cornette's promotion. They crowned their first heavyweight champion, which was Primetime Brian Lee, known to a lot of the WWF fans as the fake Undertaker, or he was one of the lifers with
Disciples of Apocalypse, or
he was one of them. And then 41 years ago today, Kerry Von Erich wrestled his last match as the NWA World Champion before losing to Ric Flair. Let's see. Primetime Brian Lee.
Riot Reed. Oh, what an interesting name, though, Riley. I like it.
We'll get to the next one. Bryan Danielson turns 44 today. Happy birthday to the American Dragon. Brian Pillman would have been 63 years old today. Let's see, 36 years ago today, Lex Luger regained the U.S. title from Michael Hayes at a house show in West Virginia. That was a good old days when they used to like still do the belts on house shows. Was a little fun fact about Luger: he held the title for more days combined than any other U.S. title holder. He held the belt 5 times for a total of 950 days. That's the package. Danny, I don't know if you remember this pay-per-view or not, but 32 years ago, WCW presented Slamboree. It was when they one time they did it, called it a Legends Reunion. They had some of the legends come out. Tully Blanchard, that was like his first appearance in a while on a major show, and his last one for a while. And so we saw him back on AEW TV. Come up. 33 years ago, Stunning Steve Austin won the WCW. Stunning Steve Austin.
Oh, I don't know if I've heard of him.
Won the TV title from Barry
Shame
Windham.
on you, Paul.
Stunning.
Hollywood Blondes with Brian
Blonde
Pillman.
Who? Brian Pillman? Who's it?
I
don't know how you guys know about all these obscure wrestlers. It's so.
And then we'll go way back.
Get it together.
53 years ago, Chief Jay Strongbow and Sonny King won the WWF Tag Team titles, defeating King Curtis and Baron Skuna. I think it's never heard of that guy. Most of them I've heard of. 31 years ago was another Legends reunion for WCW Slamboree. Zbyszko beat Regal. Wow. Okay. Dustin Rhodes defeated Bunkhouse Bunk in a bunkhouse match.
Wait, the bunkhouse match? Is that the greatest wrestling match to ever be put on film ever?
The main event for that one was Flair defeating Barry Windham to retain the title. Second generation wrestler Scott Putski, son of the legendary Ivan Putski, is 59 years old today. And then 9 years ago tonight in Extreme Rules, Rusev on Rusev Day defeated Kalisto to win the U.S. title. And that is everything that happened on May 22nd that we have a record of. Oh, Kevin Nash.
Definitely an interesting list.
Vinny Vegas was my favorite. Vinny Vegas was my favorite Kevin Nash. He was. They didn't do much with him, but Vinny Vegas was fun. So we are actually running a little bit over an hour. Danny, you got any final thoughts tonight?
Not really. Other than Logan Paul is just annoying, and I will leave you with what my nephew said. Same nephew said about Logan Paul, and I said, "Gee," I go, "You know who Logan Paul is?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "He's in WWE." His response, 14, he goes, "Oh, he's an a-hole. He doesn't really do anything but talk, and he can't wrestle."
You know what? His personality, his persona, I completely see why people don't like him. But I mean, you got to respect what him and his brother did. I mean, they came from nothing. They got a following, and now they're multi-millionaires. I mean, they're a good story for whatever. I mean, it's so you don't have to like them on TV, but did you watch the Paul? I don't think Danny did, but did you watch the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight?
No, I did not.
Well, I mean, Tyson come out and he looked decent for the first couple of rounds, but then you could just tell he was done. He was gassed. And Jake Paul,
it's modern boxing.
Well, Jake Paul carried him the rest of the way, kept him up, and then so they're doing the end of it, the interview, and Jake Paul's being very respectful about Mike's the greatest and this, that, and the other. What an honor it was to fight him. Then they turned to Mike. Mike, this your last fight, or you think you're gonna fight some more? And he's like, "No, I'm not done. I think I got a couple more left in me." I said, "Well, who are you gonna fight?" And Logan's behind Jake, talking to Jake. He looks over and he said, "Maybe I'll fight Logan." And Logan just stole the spotlight. He looked. He said, "Are you crazy, Mike? I'd fucking kill you." And I was like, "No." And just like that, the whole thing, the whole 8-10 rounds, whatever it went. Logan Paul stole the moment. Jake's trying to be respectful, not trying to be that YouTube personality, and Logan just kept in character, man. Logan would so you don't have to like him, but I do respect him. And again, I don't think Jay's going to lose the title to him, but it's Logan Paul. Triple H and some of the other guys in the back are very high on him, so it would not be a complete shock to me. It wouldn't shock me as if Tozawa winning the world title or something. But we got a lot going on this weekend, and I will still say that my pick for match of the weekend is going to be Paige and Ospreay, no matter which way it goes. And again, I don't know if you were here earlier, but they pulled Mania from New Orleans. Rumor has it they're going to go back to Las Vegas for 2 years in a row. That could be, or they might take it somewhere else. You never know. So, but we are all done for this week. We're back in 8-ish. We just say 8-ish each and every Thursday. And I don't know why the damn music keeps getting it wrong, but we are not the Wild World of Wrestling. We are WrestleZone Unfiltered each and every Thursday night on the All Elite Zone Podcast Network. And for me and all my core hosts here, we're going to do a milk carton with Wardlow's picture on it for Danny and see if we can't locate his big ass by next week. And we will see you in